but then we'll open it up to you guys if you've got some questions that you'd like to ask Joe. He is more than happy to answer those. Certainly he is at the moment until he sees what the questions might be. And then we will go to Pravjot Gill, who has joined us today. Pravjot was on one of our boot camps over the summer and set up her business, but she's also a brand ambassador for Founders of the Future. So she's going to be telling us a little bit about the different programs that Founders of the Future have. And those of you, I think particularly in the tech field, might be interested to see what they do. So, and then, sorry, we will then be putting you into some breakout groups, and that's the opportunity for you then to do some networking. Obviously, you know, like you would do if you came to a meetup, if we were having it face to face in a cafe or bar or whatever incubation space we've had them in the past. So that's the chance for you to meet some people and meet like-minded people and have some chats with them. So that's the plan for the next couple of hours. I'm just going to there's a couple of people in the waiting room. I'm just going to let them in. Great. Okay, so Joe, maybe you could kick us off by, in the first instance, just telling us a little bit about yourself, a bit about your background and your history and how you came to be where you are with the business.
Yeah, so my name is Joe. I recently graduated from Aston, so this year I graduated from design. So probably a course that if you asked, you probably haven't heard of. There's only like 30 of us, but we are there. So yeah, about 2 years ago now, so in 2018, I was lying in my bed and I was living at home. So my mum was having an asthma attack, and the reason for her asthma attack was because my brother was putting products in his hair to get ready for school, and we found that a lot of those products that he was putting in for grooming and that sort of thing, they had a load of chemicals that was causing asthma for my mother. So we thought there must be a better way. So it just so happened that he's a chemistry student and I'm a product design student, so it kind of worked. He formulated a load of products that he would be able to use that did the same thing as his commercial products, but they didn't have those chemicals in them. So after making stuff for our own family's use, we thought, well, we'll give it a go at selling it. Started selling it on eBay, Amazon, and then sort of like craft fairs sort of thing. Seemed to be going all right. So we got it certified and started selling to shops. So a big part of how it all got started with the whole shop thing was I did an enterprise placement for my placement year. So the first half of, well, the second half actually. The first half I was in Australia on a study abroad, but the second half was an enterprise placement. So as part of that, I got all the certification, registered it as a business, all the rest of it, and then just started approaching shops. It really took off at that point. So today we're in about 75 different shops. It's growing every day. And we have 4 main product lines, a bunch of accessories. So things like hair wax, hair clay, beard balm, beard oil, that sort of thing. And yeah, so they're in mainly eco shops. So if you've heard of those zero waste shops that are popping up all over the place, retail stores, a lot of that sort of thing. But again, gift shops we're starting to move into as well, and some of the big online retailers for that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's me, and that's where I'm at really.
Brilliant, thank you. And so obviously, would you say then your main motivation for starting the business was, obviously it came from the fact that the sort of unnatural, very chemical products were having on your mum, but before that point, had you ever considered starting your own business? Had you sort of yearned to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I'm one of those ones that, like, since I could write and walk and stuff, it's always been. So it started off like we used to grow things in the garden. I used to put them out front of the house with like a money box next to it. And then I moved on to a big, I think I did in like high school was I brought electronics from China, like electrical components, lasers and electromagnets and that sort of thing, and then sold them to to people in the UK, but like some really big companies like the Renault F1 team and Ardman, that makes a policing from it, which is kind of cool when you're like 13 selling like components to these big companies. And then, yeah, when I left school, well, the summer before I went to college, I did a gardening business, and I just put some leaflets through. And I just had heaps of work all throughout the summer. So yeah, I've always been like that entrepreneurial sort of idea. It's always something I wanted to do. And then, yeah, again, this was an idea that we found a solution to a problem just out of necessity, I guess. And then it was somewhat marketable, and turns out that it was something people really wanted. So it was definitely always my intention to go into business and to have my own little company.
Okay, that's interesting. And before you, or when you were first starting up, what did you think sort of the main challenges were going to be, and have they proved to be the case, or has there been other kind of challenges along the way?
I guess I thought the main challenge would be selling it. Like at the end of the day, if you've got a product, then selling it is going to be a big part of it. But especially with the initial urge, because we offered something that there was clearly a market for and people wanted, actually selling it to shops, really, we didn't find that difficult. It was just a case of emailing, and then what would happen would happen. So in that respect, I think if you've got a product that people want, actually selling it is quite low down on the list of difficulties. Difficulties I've had is with scaling it, and also like the associated admin. Like it's when you very first start off, it's really simple. You make it, you sell it, you make it, you sell it. But then as you get more complicated, it just gets so much more complicated and convoluted. With scale becomes so much complexity. So actually I'd say my issue hasn't so much been what I thought it was at the start, it's been what it's become, because it's just more and more complicated as it scales.
What sort of are those complications? Is that to do with, because currently you're making it yourself, that's right?
Yeah, I've been making it all day today, actually. That's why I'm a little bit, yeah, I literally, like 5 minutes before this, I finished making.
So does your house smell of all of the...
lemongrass at the moment, yeah.
Make you hungry?
Yeah.
Not so much. But the issue is with scaling isn't it something to do with you need to go really big? There's not much in the middle there for taking it from in the kitchen to manufacturing.
Absolutely. So yeah, taking it from, there's a point where it stops being viable to make it yourself, especially in this. And I think it's a lot of sort of brands similar to mine face. There's a big difference between making it yourself and taking it to a manufacturer with their minimum production runs of like 2,000 units. So I can make 500 a day on my own, which seems like a lot, but that's across all different scents and all different products. And I've got 14 of them, and actually I'm bringing out a new range in the next couple of weeks, which is going to triple that rate, like triple that amount. So if you think 2,000 of each of them, you get into 30,000 units at a time, which is just insane. I only sold like 6,000 last year, for example. So taking it from this point where it's just about doable, 500 units a day is a lot. It's a lot of units. When you see it on your kitchen table, you think that's a lot of units. But then the next step up is 30,000. And just that middle area is just so difficult to navigate, and it's definitely a restraining factor.
Yeah, that's interesting. And how did you sort of go about deciding what price points to pay? And actually, because you've got different channels, haven't you? You've got the direct to the shops, but then also you do things through Amazon and...
Yeah. Pricing is, it's always said, like any business book you read or anyone you speak to, always says pricing is like one of the most important things. And to be honest with you, I got it wrong to start with. The price point I first set out with, because again, it was just selling it on Amazon or eBay, just as a thing, like, oh, we've got this, maybe someone else wants it. So we just pulled a random number, and it turned out to be $8.99 for the hair wax. Now, as we grew, we found that actually that is a little bit low. Especially when there's two different price points I've got, as you said. So there's the RRP, which is what we sell it on Amazon, eBay, that sort of thing. Then also when you're selling to shops, you have to consider the wholesale price. Now, if you do any research, you'll find this quite easily, but it sometimes does come as a shock to people that the wholesale price is normally about a third of the RRP. So we were selling for $8.99, but we were only selling to the shops for £3.50. Now, all of those numbers, kind of that £3.50 was a little bit low, and then the £8.99 was also, it was uncomfortably sitting between a sort of artisan product that was like fairly indie, and then the high street product, which generally speaking, the people that are buying to pay a little bit more because they're going for that. If they just wanted the most cheap products, they'd have gone to Tesco, and that's that. You could do that all day long. So we were sitting really uncomfortably with our price point, and then also our wholesale price point was a little bit off, and we had to adjust that. So we're still in the process of adjusting. Actually, a lot of our stockists are on grandfather pricing as the old stockists, so we've only actually moved into the new pricing last month. But yeah, that was a minefield to navigate. That was a lot of stress. It took me, like, just to change the prices of 14 products took me probably 2 weeks of solid 9 to 5 work, just add it all together to work out what price point it should be, what wholesale price point it should be, and then how to do that without upsetting everyone and everyone being like, well, it's too expensive, I'm not going to stock it anymore, which would be disastrous. So I think if you could get your price point right to start with, that would save you so much heartache in the long run, like so much. That's really important.
Yeah, that's a good piece of advice. And I think you've talked about getting your first customer. That was you just sort of emailed some of the artisan type shops.
Yeah, the first shop customer was a funny one actually. I did a random school Christmas fair. That's how small it was at one point. I paid.
We've lost Joe temporarily. He said he had it on his phone, didn't he? I don't know.
Probably be 30 seconds. Takes about 30 seconds to redo his router, I think.
Okay. Talk amongst ourselves.
Yeah, I'm coming back.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
This is why I have the phone. Like we all mock until something happens, don't we? Can you all hear me all right again? Is it all good?
Yes,
now?
we can. Yeah, and I think we lost you you just said you were at a Christmas fair, and then we lost you, I think.
Okay, I don't know what on earth happened there, but something bad happened clearly.
No, we lost him again. Must be a problem with his Wi-Fi, is it?
We back?
Yeah.
Right. Good. Sorry, I was just turning it off the Wi-Fi because it was the Wi-Fi that went. I turned it onto my mobile internet. So definitely.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So yeah, I had a small table at a Christmas market, and it basically one of the parents at this school fair. She owned a shop. She owned a craft fair, like a craft shop. So she invited me to stock the products, and that was just before I went to Australia actually. So I messaged, well, the second time. So I phoned her up and I was like, right, if you need any more stock for like the next 6 months, tell me now. I'll get it to you, and then we'll go from there. But after that, yeah, a few craft fairs, a few shop owners found me. But I had what I called Shop Week, which is actually about this time last year. It was something I kind of knew I had to do, but I was kind of a little bit scared about doing. So I had Shop Week. I spent Monday and Tuesday collecting email addresses. And then at 10:15 on the Wednesday morning, I sent out 200 emails to shops, zero waste shops and eco shops. And then by Friday, I was stocked in 30 shops. Wow. Like I had 30 orders through. And I was actually at uni trying to listen to a lecture, and my phone was just bing, bing, bing. And I think that first, I had £1,500 order, and that was like completely out the blue. And yeah, I didn't really focus on the coursework for much of that lecture, to be greatly honest with you.
I can imagine. And most of those shops have continued to restock as you've gone on?
Yeah, so with a few different, with a few exceptions, like again, because it's quite a niche product, the really small shops don't really sell enough to justify it. So where it's really come into its own and where we get the really regular reorders are on the big online eco shops and the larger physical shops. Some of them stick with it. Some of them do stick with it. So, for example, if they're a really small shop that only has a small throughput, then they'll probably only put in a relatively small order every 6 months. For some shops, they're not thinking that's worth it. For others, they are. But yeah, we're really coming, like, I think 35% of our turnover last year came from just 3 of the main online eco shops, and the rest was all the others combined. So it's certainly an online thing that's better for us, and we're actively trying to get into bigger online shops. But yeah, it does go quite like that.
Yeah. So is that kind of where you're focusing your marketing activities at the moment, to get more in the large online shops?
Yeah, so it's certainly, it's a bit challenging to do because I find that a lot of those online shops, they know I exist. It's just trying to push them over the parapet because it's quite a small little thing. Most of them, generally speaking, know that I do exist. It's just trying to get them past there, really.
Okay, and I think when we spoke the other day, Joe, you mentioned about the PR company that you're working with and how well that's going.
Yeah, that's good. Wow, I'm really happy.
Let's mute me on here. Yeah. All right, that's a bit better. Yeah, the PR company. Sorry about this. It's really wasn't great on my phone. The PR company is that's a really interesting thing. So I got contacted by a PR company. Most PR companies charge a retainer for a month, and you charge. I think they charge about 250, 300 quid for a month, and then they'll try and get you into press immediately. I got contacted by one that did a flat fee whenever they placed you, which was really useful because obviously I don't want to be paying 300 quid a month if they're not going to get me anywhere. And yeah, I don't think I told you this, Carolyn, but since then they've actually managed to place me a competition in Men's Health magazine. Oh, wow. So and that cost me 100 quid for a contact for like a thing in Men's Health magazine, which if I'd put the advertising, then it would have been a lot more than that. That's within the first week. So I think I actually found out about PR companies, the world of PR companies, from another one of the, I think it was a meetup or something. There was another girl on here that said she's got a friend who's a PR person. So I had a chat to her and thought, right, PR company, that's something that's worth doing. And so far, so good.
That's great. That's good news, isn't it? Yeah. And can you talk a little bit about how you funded your business? Has it all been sort of bootstrapping, or have you had any external funding at all along the way?
More or less bootstrapped, yeah. So a few little bits from competitions with yourself. So the pitching competition, and then Santander did another thing. So I think in total we've had about $3,000 from Santander, and that was quite recently. But especially to start with, it was very much a bootstrapping exercise. I started off by putting. I had to pay quite a lot out to get the products tested, and I think the most money I'd put into it at one point, out of my own personal funds, was 700 quid. That's been paid back to me now, so it's self-funded and obviously then some. But yeah, I think to start with, it was 700 quid I put in from the peak point, but then it's completely just natural organic growth, except for that couple of grand.
Yeah.
Okay. It's interesting. Went towards a trade fair that hasn't yet happened. It's got postponed.
Of course, yes, yeah.
So yeah.
And can you maybe tell us a little bit about, because obviously you were a student when you started this up, so how has it been kind of managing your time? Is it just you in the business now, or is your brother still involved?
It's just me, more or less. Yeah, I occasionally use freelancers and things like that. Often more effort than they're worth, but yeah, it's just me. At uni, COVID helped, put it this way. There's a few positives to this COVID situation, and the fact that I didn't actually have to go into uni, or a big part of my uni course for my final year was actually building a physical prototype of something, and I didn't have to do that because of COVID. We could just do the CAD model. So I think it would have scuppered me a little bit more if I'd had to put that much effort into uni. But I was on a fairly low workload course, to be fair. I mean, all courses are what you make it, but I think I could get away with a lot more. I put a lot more effort into my business than I did the uni work. I totally understand that for some courses and some people that just would not fly. And some courses really are very much term time, and then some my course just happen not to be. So there is that. Placement year was fully working on that. That was my first experience of working full time on the business. And then post uni as well as just being full time. So I got lucky with uni. I think a lot of the time, if you did do it through uni, either find a way to balance it really well, or be prepared to see a sort of dip and a bit of a lull during uni. And I think it's unfair to say it never affected me, but obviously when my dissertation was due, I spent a week on my dissertation. Like, I could have spent a week going at more times. But I think, relatively speaking, it just happened to balance out quite well for me.
Yeah. Okay. And then what's sort of next for Rugged Nature? What's the vision for the future?
New products. We're launching new very final stage. I've been saying this for months, but I'm in the very final stage of formulating new formulas for different products. So we're bringing out various different things: a face scrub, shaving oil, deodorant. We're making a vegan version of our wax, because that's something that people are quite hyped about. Like, our wax uses beeswax. Some people dislike that for various reasons. So yeah, bringing out new products, getting more shops and bigger shops. So we're starting to do things now, like we're registered with the barcoding people, so we can put barcodes on our products, which it all ends up leading towards getting into larger, bigger retailers rather than independents. I'm using a freelance salesman at the moment as well, and his job basically is to do more of the professional sales work. I'm not from a sales or even business background, so in terms of trying to get into larger shops, I understand there's like a status quo and a way of doing things, which isn't just emailing Tesco and saying, hey, do you want to stock my products, which is working for the independents. But so he's doing the things like LinkedIn and all that sort of thing that I'm not too hot on. So yeah, more products. I've got three things that, like, I put it on behind my desk. I've got a big sheet and it says offer more, sell more, and automate. They're the three big things I've got to do. I've got to offer more products, sell more of them, and then automate the system. So again, as I was saying with that scaling issue, make it less of me filling tins of jug and more of something happening where I don't have to be involved, basically.
Yeah. And is it right, you're on the BEC accelerator at the moment?
Yeah, over at Alpha Tower, that's good.
Yeah.
So that's it's useful. They have like a mentoring pool, which is good to speak to some people sometimes, and then obviously the staff works. Staff there, like Daniel and all around, they help you out if you have any questions. They arrange things for you to speak to people and do various different things. So, for example, I'm going something that's probably like a swear word to you guys, but I've never actually had a business plan. It's just something I've never done, and I've realised it's probably something I should have done. So I'm actually going to go sit down with Daniel for 2 hours tomorrow and actually hash out the starts of a business plan, because apparently they're things that are necessary and needed.
Better late than never.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm sure you had one, it just wasn't written down.
Yeah, it was rather. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely. And then just finally, well, actually a couple more for me. So what would you say has been the highlight of running your own business so far?
Business highlight or personal highlight? So the business highlight is obviously when you land a big online customer. So I know the big online eco shops, and so the other day we had a big one, Life Before Plastic, and they just emailed me out of the blue and put an £800 order. I've been trying to get into that shop for like 6 months, like emailing, Instagram messaging and calling and all the rest of it. And then just one happy afternoon, they log onto my website and put an £800 order, and I'm just like, yes.
Brilliant.
And they've already, that was like 2 weeks ago, and they've already put in a reorder. So that's always going to be, and I think as the business grows, the orders are just going to get bigger and more high profile customers. And I think that's always going to be something that gets me excited. Personal highlight though was part of COVID, Ocean Outdoor, a big billboard company, with big digital billboards everywhere. They had they basically, I just think they didn't have many people trying to advertise during COVID because no one was really out and about. So they thought, okay, well, we'll offer it to small businesses, like a competition sort of thing. Like you submit why you think you should have access to a big billboard and they'll like maybe give you some space. And so I submitted and they got back to me, they really liked the story and they're like, yeah, absolutely, we'll give you 10 giant LED billboards across 5 cities in the UK for a week. You've got to do the artwork for it in like 5 days. So I was like, right, let's think about this. So it turns out that I ended up on 10 giant LED billboards in my underwear, sitting at a desk with the caption, video call ready. So just a suit on top, big red boxer shorts at the bottom. We took a photo, like we cleared everything up. We've got one big white wall in our house, so we just cleared all the furniture out the way. Got my desk out my room, put it in there, got it all set up, took some photos, sent it off to a graphic designer. He did the, so yeah, I was in my pants on 10 giant billboards, 2 in Birmingham. I went and saw him, took a photo of him, he selfie.
Oh, I missed that.
That was brilliant. Like, it's just so much fun.
Oh, something to tell your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, who else can say they've done that? Like,
Exactly, yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Joe. That's kind of it from my questions. Does anybody, I don't quite know how we do this, but does anybody have questions that they would like to ask Joe? Maybe.
you could unmute or you could use the chat function. I've got that up at the side of my screen, so if people want to type that.
Hi. My name is Marilyn.
You're right.
Hi, Marilyn.
Hi. Could you, truly inspirational. Really lovely chat. I'd like to find out, because I'm in a similar position. I started making some creams for myself, and then my sister asked for some, and then it's just kind of escalated from there. Well, I say escalated, but it started evolving from there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to find out how did you get your product certified? What did you have to do? I know you mentioned it.
Geraldine.
So what was?
You gotta love Geraldine. I've got a tester, a CSPR tester. She's called Geraldine. She's very funny.
Dave, sorry, you're going a bit quiet. What did you say?
Sorry, I've got a tester. So I found someone online, and because it was kind of during my placement year, I kind of like pushed the whole, I'm a student thing, please help me. So it's quite funny. She's very, very straight down the line, sort of formal, but she's fun at heart, I think. Kind of interesting to speak to. But yeah, I've got a tester that I know now. So if you need her details, I can pass her on. She doesn't. The tests, I think they work out to about 130 quid each or something per product. But if you have different scents, then she gives you a discount. So yeah, you just have to get it tested by them. You have to do.
Sorry, what kind of firm are they?
She's a clinical toxologist. So what she does, you don't actually have to send her the products. You send her the formula, and what she'll do, she will use her toxicological knowledge to make sure that none of the products interact with one another. And then she'll do things like tell you precautions you have to put on the tin, any allergens in the ingredients, different like the shelf life and that sort of thing.
Okay.
And so yeah, so you have to send your products off. Well, don't send them off. Send the formula off to someone like that. You have to do what's called it's like a chase test thing. No, not a chase test. Basically, you leave it on a windowsill for 3 months and see if it goes off.
Okay.
For all intents and purposes, it's a stability test that you make sure it's stable. And that's like a self-assessed thing. You can get companies that do it, but most people do it self-assessed. They just watch it for 3 months. And it is what it is. Then you've got to upload it onto an online portal, get insurance, get the labeling right, and then you're good to go. It's quite a process.
Okay. Is it possible to get a bit more information from you, or get that tester?
Yeah. Shoot me an email. I don't know how you'll get. It's Joe Poxon at ruggednature.co.uk.
Joe?
Yeah, so as my name's spelled on screen, at ruggednature.co.uk, and just shoot me an email and I'll type something up for you and send over.
Brilliant. Thanks for the question, Marilyn. We've got a question, I think, on the chat there, haven't we, Joe?
Yeah.
How do you deal with copyright and trademark to protect your brand? Good question.
Cool. So copyright is automatic. You get copyright when you write something down. So that's if you've done it first, that's yours. Trademark is we've got a trademark, Rugged Nature, and the logo as well. That's trademarked. You go on the government website, you pay your 200 quid, you wait 2 months, and then you get a trademark if no one objects to it. It's pretty straightforward. I'd definitely recommend doing it soon. Like if you've got a good trademark and you want it, I'd do that before building a brand around it. I didn't get the trademark. Luckily, I was all right. I decided to trademark it very recently. Actually, it got approved about a month ago. So I just got lucky that it didn't get objected to, or no one else had the trademark. But yeah, very, very straightforward. Just you need to make sure you have to actually do it.
And there's a question, Joe, from Olivia. Oh, just lost that now. Hang on.
Yeah,
you got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Olivia asked, how do you go about finding suppliers for your products? Again, I'm very lucky. I came into the market at the time when the sort of natural skincare, healthcare, hair care sort of thing was quite established already. So there was a lot of established sort of UK suppliers for the ingredients. So there's big online companies, the Soapery, Nascent, those sort of places. That you can just Google it and you find it wholesale. Just type in what you need and type in wholesale after it and it will come up. Things like tins and labels, they're a little bit more challenging. There's one tin supplier in the UK that's relatively cheap, and anyone that else sells tins just puts a markup on them. They are like the importer, effectively. Labels, again, one Irish company that does labels I use. So that was a struggle, but you just find it, like Google. Like at the end of the day, like it's how do you find anything you need to buy for yourself? If you need a laptop, you Google it. So like you just go and find it. I can't speak on specifics for anyone else other than my own company, but once you've found them, you kind of stick with them unless they annoy you or do something wrong. But yeah, it wasn't too difficult to be found. The scale of things that is difficult to find, that's relatively low, to be fair. You all right?
Oh, sorry, Joe. Are you okay? There's some more questions.
Yeah, I'm just looking.
Yeah.
I'm just having a look. Have I done any market research or new products released by good gut feeling? Yeah, market research. If you're a student, you've got the advantage of you know a lot of people. Compared to most people, you know a lot of people. Utilize that. I'd always advocate for joining clubs at uni on a personal level, but also really useful on a business level, because some of the big clubs at Aston Uni have got like 200-300 students, and you all go to the pub together. So even if it's not your mates, I literally I was part of the kayaking club and the mountaineering club at Aston. I used to literally go down to the pub with like little samples, little tubs, and literally just hand it to the like freshest week and go, smell this, smell that, what do you think of that? And just basically didn't have a lot of choice in the matter. They just gave me their feedback. Again, when deciding to bring out new products, it was a combination of gut feeling and research. So we put a Google survey out there, put it on Facebook, socials, that sort of thing. Hey guys, what do you use on a daily basis? What do you use on a weekly basis? Put it all together, work it all out. Well, what can we actually make? What can't we actually make? Gut feeling. What are other people saturated? So you'll see I don't actually have any soap products in my range. It's not because they're not what everyone uses all the time. Everyone uses shampoo, body wash, shampoo, hair gel, whatever. But there's just 12 billion companies that make soap. So logically, it'd be yes, make soap. Market research says make soap, but it's a saturated market. The soap bars sell for £5. I'd have to sell them to the wholesaler for like £2, which means I'd have to make them for like 20p, which is just not going to happen. So you got to use your common sense.
That's Taz saying that not everyone uses hair products. Joe. You can see him there on the screen.
Oh yeah. Well, no.
Just
Come on.
jealous.
To be fair,
Yeah.
to be fair. Yeah, face scrub. That's the handle. Or shave oil, actually. Shave oil to get it going. Okay. What's next? Saeed.
Hello, Joe. If I may ask a quick question, just as a follow-up to the question you just responded to. So in coming up with new products and adding new products to your product line, how do you ensure, or what are your plans with regards to managing the operations when you haven't scaled to the point where you need to go like an industrial manufacturer and you have, large.
Don't talk about that.
How do you tend to manage that?
Deal with the problem when I get to it, I guess. A big part of the problem I actually currently have is that each of my products have got 3 different scents. And I've got to a point now where I can't actually kill any of those scents because annoyingly, each of my big customers prefer one of each. So I can't actually get rid of, say, lemongrass beard balm because that's going to really upset EcoVibe. So I'm kind of stuck in a corner there. But on my new products, I'm actually originally only going to be bringing out 1 scent of each. So that's actually going to, as opposed to, I'm bringing out 5 new products, as opposed to making that's 15 products, it's going to be 5 products, which if, say, the deodorant really runs away with itself, and I've only got 1 scent of it, it's actually starting to become a bit more feasible that I could go to a manufacturer, have a manufacturing run of 2,000 units of the 1 scent, because that's what everyone wants. And then I'd get through that within a reasonable time span, rather than having 6,000 units, which would be if there's 3 cents, which is not going to get through in a reasonable time span. So yeah, my best bet at the moment is to stick with 1 cent. But in terms, I'm probably still going to make it myself. I'm probably still going to be making them well into the night, and I'm probably still going to be crying about it. But we'll deal with that when we get to it.
Thank you, Joe. There's a couple more on the chat, I think.
Yeah. See them there. So Saeed, what's your main focus? Physical stores or online stores? I'll always focus on online stores because if you've got a physical shop, you might have 200 people walk into it in a day. On online retailers, they very regularly get 20,000 hits a day. It's just a pure numbers game. So I'd always go for the online stores. I think the high street, sadly, is dead, but the online stores are. They're here to stay, especially with the moment, COVID, like you don't know we're going to go to a different lockdown or anything like that. I would never say no to a physical store, and some of them do really well. Like actually, one of our biggest physical stores does a lot better than some of our medium online stores. But yeah, always got to be the online stores to focus on because it's at the end of the day. Cool.
Sorry, can I jump in with a follow-up question about online stores?
Yeah.
How do you make sure that your website is secure to handle people's payments methods and also wouldn't be hacked? I'm just thinking if people are sharing their personal details and card details.
Yeah. I don't deal with that, so I just use Shopify. So then, if you unless you're a developer, you're not going to make your own website. So you just, and even if you did, you'd use a plugin for that. So you use Shopify. They deal with everything like that. For all intents, that's what you pay them for, effectively. So you can get web hosting for cheaper than Shopify, but then Shopify also charge 2% on the payments. But that's because they deal with it, and I don't. So yeah, it's as secure as Shopify is, and Shopify is the biggest online e-commerce site on there. So they're as secure as they can be because they don't want half the internet to be hacked. So yeah, that's just that really.
Oh, that's super. Thank you.
Cool. Right, here we go. Did you use any money on advertisement and online influencers? Organic growth. I should have done, I guess. Again, I've been focusing on the whole thing. My business is split 50-50 to 80-20 really, between like stockists and then me selling myself through my website, eBay, Amazon, things like Facebook store and Instagram store. So I should probably focus on that a little bit more. And if I was to focus on that more, that's when I'll be looking at advertising, influencers, that sort of thing. It's something I've very briefly looked at, But pay-per-click is dead. Like pay-per-click's stupid. Like unless you've got millions to spend or hundreds of thousands to spend, pay-per-click is not. It's so tempting, and I've been tempted. Although I know it doesn't work, but I've been tempted like 4 or 5 times because they're like, "Oh, we've given you £20 free credit if you spend 100 quid on pay-per-click," and then you go and do it, and it never works. It just doesn't work. Like, just please believe me on this. Pay-per-click doesn't work at all. Instagram influencers, I think that would work really well. Finding them is an absolute pain. Everyone thinks they're an influencer, they're not. That's a massive part of it. You'll have people, like if you have a product-based business, you'll have so many Instagram messages all the time saying, "I'm an influencer, send me products, pay me this, and I'll give you a shout out." They've either got loads of followers and they're all fake, or they don't have many followers at all. So yeah, I often get like 30,000 follower accounts saying, "Hey, we'll give you 8 posts for $15 US." That's not real, is it? Like, it's just not the case. So I should look into that more. Yeah, organic growth is so far. If you don't mind talking about finances, how did you start up your business? Alone, or only had money saved, etc.? It cost me 700 quid. So, and that was over a period of time. So that was just my own money. I used to be an outdoor instructor, so I got like side agent effectively. I got paid for that. So I just put that in when I could, and then after that point it just kind of sustained itself. So as I say, being that it was very slow to get going and organic bootlegged growth, then the finance wasn't really an issue. I've occasionally propped that up with director's loans. I've occasionally not paid myself from month to month just to keep the cash flow going, but more or less that. Do I sell direct to consumer? Yep, on the website, on eBay and Amazon. Yep. The margins are always better at online stores. No, I sell to wholesale physical shops at the same price that I sell wholesale to online stores. They expect the same, although, yeah, maybe their overheads are lower, potentially. Though, kind of maybe not, because they've got to post it out, don't forget. Especially for something that's only costing like 12 quid to start with. When you're paying 3 quid to post it, then I don't know how much better off you are there than paying rent on a shop unit. But no, the margin, like the wholesale price is the wholesale price. I've not heard of anyone selling different wholesale prices to physical or online stores. I don't think that would go down too well, to be honest with you. But yeah, there's that. The more products, variations, stock keeping units you have, the more complicated the management. Absolutely, 100%. It goes without saying. I've got 14 drawers of products. If I had 30 drawers of products, it'd be more complicated. If I had 5, it'd be less complicated. It's just, but yeah, that again goes back to my point about only wanting to have 1 cent of my new lines at least initially, just to try and stay on top of it. Did you get into social media, and how much did that help your business? We have social media accounts. We have Facebook and Instagram, standard too. How much does it help the business? Very hard to tell. I think you need to have at least some presence to be legitimate. So yeah, you need to have presence, because otherwise someone's going to Google your company. And if it doesn't have a Facebook page or an Instagram account, then they're just going to be like, well, you probably don't exist. If someone emails, just think about it. If a company emails you and you're a shop, I know you're not shops, but if someone emails you saying, "Hey, buy these products," you're going to Google that company. And if they don't have a vaguely legit looking Instagram account and a vaguely legit looking website, then you're going to be really skeptical. So you've got to, like, as I say, it's not something I put a lot of effort into, it's not something I put a lot of money into, but it's certainly something that I've built to the point where it's acceptable. Like, you get the Instagram feed, all the squares going, so it looks right, it shows what you're doing, it shows who you are. And then after that point, I don't use it for mass marketing, but it's certainly something I have there for people to refer to, just to say, yeah, he's there, he's a legit. The last post was less than 4 years ago, so he's all good. Still present, still there. What was your launch strategy? Didn't have one. Probably should have had one. Didn't. Just did it. Yeah, just literally started the business, started emailing shops. No launch there at all, really. I'm thinking about maybe launching the new products with an email campaign, but I think what you've got to understand is if you're a single person in a business, then there's things you're going to be good at and there's things you're not going to be good at. So things I'm good at are not the sort of PR, marketing, social media, launching and getting hype about it. I'm very much more of a strategic, get stuff done, practical. I'm not very airy-fairy. I'm not very like fancy-wancy like you'd get with like, I'm not a 16-year-old girl that's great on Instagram. I've always thought I want a social media marketer who's a 16-year-old girl. It sounds really dodgy, but that's the sort of thing that I see polar opposite of me. And I think that would be the perfect solution to social media marketing, is just someone who's the opposite of me. So in terms of, because it's just been me, I've done very little of that, if any at all. So no launch. Again, you read the books and you know you should, but I just didn't. So that's that. It's always best if you can boost it. When you take money from investors, they'll have to stay in the business, and it's not always done that way. Yeah, I don't know. If I started again, I would probably get investment, just because I'd be able to get to where I am now a lot quicker. You're right. Maybe investors would have an impact, but at the same time, another thing you've got to realize is when you work for yourself, you're only accountable to yourself. So that comes with its own set of challenges. So for example, if I don't want to do something because I don't enjoy it, there's really nothing to make me do that thing. So it's really hard for me to get hyped about doing it. Whereas if I had investors breathing down my neck, maybe that would actually help. Maybe that would actually help me go, right, you know what, Joe, you need to redesign this packaging. Stop putting it off for 6 months. You just need to go do it. So I guess it depends on how you work yourself. If you're really super self-motivated, then happy days. But I think, yeah, I'd take investment if I did this again, and I might still take investment. I might start another company and take investment for it, just because it accelerates. Like if I had the money I had now, if I could have done a trade fair when I first started, then great. But I couldn't do a trade fair for a year because I just didn't have the $3,000 it cost to do a trade fair. So yeah, I would take investment. With all respect, I'm not sure I'd agree with that, quite frankly. Fulfillment process. Sorry,
just to follow up on investors there. How do you go about finding investors, especially when you're in such an early stage of setting up a business?
No idea. I haven't done it.
Okay.
I've had a few family friends. I've actually had a fair few family friends come to me, and my friends actually as well, come to me and being like, if you need any money, like, hit me up, let me know. And like some of these people, like, they're quite serious. Like I brushed it off like, oh yeah, cool, thanks Tony. And then like he's just emailing me. He's like, so do you need any money? Family and friends, I would go with if you've got family and friends that can and are willing to do that, because I've had a few online meetings with talking about investment, and there's a stage, I guess, especially the early stage, where it's like family, friends, and idiots. I think they call it at the very early stage before investment. I think if you went to a bank, they might give you a couple of grand, but I think you'd have to probably put your car up against it or something. Yeah. I'm not the one to speak about that. All I know is that family friends have offered. I haven't taken them up, but I think if you've got something that's working and they believe in you, then hopefully maybe you're in a lucky position like I am, and they might be willing. But in terms of formal investment, I have no experience, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you.
Cool. Fulfillment process, do it myself. Yeah. Literally, I've got a room. I have plastic drawers full of products, cardboard boxes, packing paper. Just blast it out when I get around to doing it. I got some custom boxes made to make it just a little bit quicker, but like the right size to take 10 units, for example. But yeah, I just do it myself. Again, fulfillment companies out there, if I wanted to take the hit of the money, and if I didn't feel I could do it myself, then yeah, absolutely, you could ship it out to a fulfillment company and they'll do it for you. But it would cost you probably quite a lot comparatively, because ultimately they're doing what you're doing, so they're taking their wage and time, and then they're adding a profit margin on top of that. So it's going to cost you money, but it's not a problem for me at the moment. It doesn't, packing and fulfillment doesn't take that long, relatively speaking, so it's not something I've actively sought to take off my plate, I guess.
Joe, should we do 2 more questions? You can pick your favourite.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that. That includes a All right. Well, there is only two. There is only two questions anyway.
Okay.
So, how did I find out about product testing? That was a fun one. I phoned up a craft market to book a stall, and they asked me if I'd got the certification, and I said, "What certification?" And they helpfully informed me that I needed certification. I was like, "Oh, right, okay." That's how I found out, I guess. Yeah. So I went away, did some research. It was a rabbit hole. It really was. It was like when you need this and you need that, you need this and you need that. And it's going to cost you a lot of money, and the company's not really making much money, so you have to fund it yourself. And then it's like 300 quid, and you're like, oh. But yeah, you bite the bullet, you get it done. It's legally necessary. Bit of an aside, quite interestingly, when coronavirus first hit, a lot of companies started making hand gel quite rapidly, and they actually forego that step of getting the certification for their hand gel, just because they wanted to profit off it quickly. And I think it hurt them quite a lot in the long run, because I think actually it caught up to some people. So it's definitely important. That's how I found out about it. And then, if you don't mind me asking, what was your biggest costly mistake? Honestly, I haven't had one, to be fair. Using DPD delivery. They're awful. Don't use them. Yeah, that's what, like, UPS all the way. My first couple of wholesale orders, they weren't huge, but at the time they felt quite big, like a couple of £100. And then they arrived at the customer looking like they'd been kicked across the car park. So yeah, use a good courier company, UPS, DHL, FedEx, something like that, not DPD, because they're, I don't know why, but they always, if I receive anything from DPD, it's always destroyed as well. So yeah, I've been lucky. I haven't made any. I mean, I've had a few batches of products that I've messed up the ratios of ingredients, and I've had to waste the batch, but the batches are they only work out to be like 60 quid ingredients each, so it's not good. I'm quite lucky I haven't had a huge costly mistakes.
Brilliant. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for that. Being so honest and open and giving some really good insights there. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for the questions. That's a lot. Normally when people are asked to ask questions,
I know, it's been great. Yeah, no, it's been really good. So next up, I'm going to introduce Pravjot there, who, as I said earlier, started her business with the support of BSEEN this summer, and is also and her business is called Movement, Fitness and Nutrition. And also she's an ambassador for Founders of the Future, so she's going to tell us a little bit about that. So over to you, Pravjot.
Hi everyone, my name is Prav. As Carolyn just said, I'm the CEO and founder of Movement Fitness and Nutrition. What we do, we're actually similar to Unlimited Fit You, where we provide fitness and nutrition needs for people with disabilities and medical conditions. At the moment, we're in the development stage, so we're trying to develop the website as it is, and we're doing some ventures alongside with that, such as me launching a new podcast, which I did during lockdown. It's called The Aware Panel. We talk about certain issues and stuff like that throughout society as a whole. We had a couple of good people going on, and it's been so great. And yeah, so I've recently became a campus ambassador for Founders of Future. I don't know if you guys heard about it. It's an invite-only community with tech entrepreneurs under the age of 30 who wants to start their own business full-time but don't know where to start. Like at the moment, they may start their tech startups on the side, doing university, or either as a graduate, and you don't know what to do. So I've been blessed to be a part of this community. Like, it's been amazing for sure. And yeah, so what we're doing, we've got two main programs that we're coming up. The first program is a fellowship, which the application closes this Friday if you guys want to apply for it. But basically, this fellowship is a 2 year program. So it gives you like the guidance and support that you need as a tech entrepreneur to make your startup full time. So yeah, so there's 75 new cohorts happen every 6 months, which the November cohort will come next month. And throughout the 2 years, you will get supported like mentoring. You get like a whole community full of tech entrepreneurs who's very like-minded, for example, yeah. And they focus on stuff like health tech, financial tech, education tech, all sorts of tech, that either AI, artificial intelligence. So it's a really cool experience to be. And then the other one, the UK Premier World Startup Competition is called the F Factor. So it's like the X Factor, but the F Factor. And that's a competition that happens every year where people from the ages of 18 to 30 can compete in to pitch their startups and potentially winning £10,000 as a result. They get people from all over the country to obviously pitch for their startups and get this investment. And past judges has been Simon Cowell, there've been certain celebrities like certain dames and stuff like that. So there are 2 main programs, and because I'm applied for the campus ambassador program, anyone can really apply for this. So it goes on a rolling basis. So if you want to become like a campus ambassador, just like I am, who organizes events and workshops for different entrepreneurs who may have an idea but want to start it up, then I'm from BCU, so I'm going to be setting up those events very soon. But if anyone out there who's a current student at the moment who wants to organize events for other entrepreneurs or tech entrepreneurs, then obviously we also have the Campus Ambassador program, which you can also apply to now to be on a second cohort. And yeah, so yeah, that's me as a whole, basically.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Pravda.
If you have any guys questions, just put them in the chat or unmute yourself.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could put any links to it in the chat, and then people can see that as well. That's great. So now I think we're going to move on to the kind of networking part of the evening, and I'm going to hand over to Howard, who is going to get that rolling.
Okay, brilliant. Hi, everyone. And Joe, thank you so much for that. I think everyone found it incredibly inspiring. So really right now it's kind of how you want to see it is, of course, networking has very much changed now in 2020, and kind of that explaining and going face to face and finding and meeting people at different events. So we really want to try and encourage you to speak. Always said, please feel free to share your LinkedIn or email, connect or message with people directly via the chat. But what we're going to do now is try and see if we can separate you guys into separate rooms and potentially just see if you want to start talking in that way. There's no pressure to stay, but it's just trying to say maybe break it off so it's not so much in the the main room. And we'll just go from there. Like I say, it's up to you if you want to stay or go, but feel free to share your contact details and we'll be talking the rest of the evening as well. So I'll just be getting that set up now. Feel free to talk while I'm getting that done as well. This is where tech isn't going to work and go and let me to do it.
Howard, if it's not working with the breakout rooms, there's 20 of us on the call now. Maybe we could just, if people wanted to.
Yeah, go with that option, because for some reason I've just gone and lost the breakout room spaces option. So please feel free to ask some questions. Good old technology. It was all prepared earlier and now it's eluded me. So yeah, please.
Okay. Well, would anyone like to just unmute themselves and kind of tell us a bit about themselves and why they've come to the meetup today? What sort of motivated them? Helen, maybe you.